Hello and welcome to a special edition of the Record Europe from London, where they're all set for a general election. When it comes to the European Union, though, we'll be asking what difference could the next UK government make? But first, let's take a look at what could be landing in the next UK government's in-tray from the European Union.
It looks like there's some big challenges ahead. In the field of employment and social policy, there's some controversial plans in the pipeline, including extending maternity pay across the European Union. Arguments around the Working Time Directive are resurfacing, and the UK may find itself fighting once again to keep its partial opt-out. The Conservatives say they'd want to renegotiate this, as well as other key bits of EU social and employment law. It's in the highly sensitive area of justice and home affairs that the European Union is going to be busiest, partly because the new Lisbon Treaty gives the EU new powers here. Britain has the right to opt in or out of these policies, and working out when it's in the UK's interest to do so will be a big challenge. British interests are directly affected by EU plans to reform the financial sector. Plans to regulate hedge funds, delayed by finance ministers, will resurface by early summer, along with plans to legislate on bankers' bonuses, risk-taking by banks, and the setting up of new agencies to supervise the sector. A review of the EU's budget will provide fireworks. Billed as a chance for root and branch reform, the British rebate may well come under attack. Reform is in the air. Europe's controversial farm aid budget and its equally contentious fisheries policy are both in line for an overhaul.
Some of what's in store there. To talk about that, I'm joined by 5 British members of the European Parliament. William, Earl of Dartmouth, is one of 13 MEPs elected last summer for the UK Independence Party. Do you think that British national interests will be better served by a government in Britain that is more cooperative than the current government is, or more combative towards the European Union?
What we need to see is cooperation across a vast range of areas in Europe where it is in the interests of the British people and indeed in Europe as a whole for us to cooperate.
So where do you want to see it more cooperative than currently is?
Well, there are a lot of issues which actually need to have an internationalist approach, such as climate change issues, for instance, where, we've got to get agreements, such as the big internal market and the trade agreements, which we need, both internally, as I say, but also with the wider world. We do need to cooperate a lot together, and we are not averse to that at all.
William Dartmouth, in your view, what's the biggest challenge facing the next UK government?
Well, we've already lost 61 vetoes because of the Lisbon Treaty, which the 3 establishment parties all spectacularly broke their general election promises that they'd grant a referendum on. And the ongoing clattering train of European integration is going on and on and on. They want to have economic government. Incidentally, it is economic government. That's what Von Rompuy, who's got the job that Blair wanted and they wouldn't give him. And also, it's clear that we're heading towards a European superstate with a common justice system, common police, and so on and so on, all cheered on by the Liberal Democrats. And I have to say, Baroness Ludford is absolutely right. The Liberal Democrats have been absolutely consistent for 60 years in favour of European integration, except at election time, because it's a very, very unpopular policy, and rightly so.
William Dartmouth, surely this is a sort of compelling argument that where there are practical, really important problems like guns around the streets in Britain, you at UKIP are sort of banging on the table saying don't get involved, we don't want anything to do with it. But these are solutions that could help your constituents.
We actually aren't saying that at all. Britain has been a member of Interpol since 1923. We can cooperate fully with extradition and so on, and other police forces, without throwing out the individual liberties of habeas corpus, no prison without trial, trial by jury, which have been established over 800 years of British history.
I've been speaking to Northern Ireland's Democratic Unionist Party and its MEP, Diane Dodds.
There's a growing Euroscepticism within the United Kingdom. That has been fed and that is being hardened by the fact that both of the parties refuse to give ordinary people, ordinary communities, their say on the Lisbon Treaty. So what I want to see from both Labour and from the Conservative is a realisation that people want their say in Europe. We need to see, and British people need to see, power staying at Westminster and not being ceded away to unelected Brussels bureaucrats.
I mean, the fact that you've abandoned the mainstream outlook of traditional Conservatives on Europe is why Edward Macmillan Scott, a Tory MEP, has joined the Liberal Democrats. He just gave up on you.
I think I know the reason better than you, Sarah.
You have.
Nice reason,
it was Edward Heath who took us into the European Union.
I must just respond to that. First of all, the ECR grouping voted in favour of Barroso, who is, as to be elected President of the Commission, who is a passionate supporter of a federal Europe, which cheers up Baroness Love.
So they're hypocritical then. They're hypocritical, yeah.
And I would also make the point on Conservative Party policy. Chancellor Merkel has just said whatever Cameron wants to do about renegotiating back treaties, it requires unanimity from 27, and he's not going to get it.
And what a waste of time.
It's just complete eyewash. The Conservative Party should never have sold the pass on the Lisbon Treaty, because 61 vetoes went there, which we'll never get back.
When it comes to the next British government and its relationship with the EU, what would your top priority be?
Opt out of EU regulations, which have cost the British economy 124 billion sterling over the last 12 years, and also no more open borders. I would also ask all 4 other parties here to immediately drop their policy in favour of admitting Turkey and have a veto on Turkey.